Well, the battle for Lyonesse is live, Mornwood trees are spawning, and PvP happened. But was everything okay in the land? Hey friends, this is Anti-Tribute here. Welcome back to another Pax Dei video. I know there was a huge opportunity for a video covering the launch of V5 that occurred on Friday, but I figured there were plenty of content creators covering that topic, and I was busy getting ready. Obviously, this is something that we've waited for a very, very long time. Excitement was high, and Friday night was probably one of the single most fun moments I've had in Pax Dei. For those of you who are not aware, I am not a member of a clan currently, so I strapped on my warded wrought iron battle axe and ventured out solo. While I really didn't survive a whole long time, I did get a nice 1v3 in, and prior to the evening I had prepared a few bits of gear, but I opted not to re-gear and instead just kind of chased people around naked and fist fought them. Also did not go well, but the server was hopping, people were laughing, people were joking. Surprisingly, zone chat and Lyonesse was absolutely just going nuts the whole night. But then reality kind of set in on Saturday, and I think many of us realized that there were some flaws in the mechanics. They definitely lended towards large groups, very large groups being able to control the field too well. So people kind of took to Discord to express their displeasure on Saturday and Sunday, and well into Monday. I'd like to say the PvP section of Pax Dei's Discord was absolutely fantastic over those days. Yes, there was a lot of negativity, but we fairly, I think, were handed a system that just did not work. But Spire, who apparently is the Mainframe employee who drew the short straw, was sent out today to engage the community and kind of discuss some of those plans that they have to correct the issues. And today we're going to cover those, as well as the exciting announcement of the go-live date for the, what is hopefully, annual Yule event. So Yule event first, you can see on the screen here, I've got the announcement. Mainframe put out a fantastic announcement that hit on some of the images. Looks like we're getting a crown headdress. If you look this one up on the Pax Dei database, you can see it actually does have some stats there, and you can see the material requirements already. Then we received this adorable little Yule goat. He is absolutely just the cutest thing in the world, and I cannot wait to make 1 million of him. Looks like the whole event is going to sort of be based on an amulet that you can wear in game that will allow you to collect the Yule materials. Pax Dei database again has a recipe for this amulet. Looks like it's not going to be too tough. When I checked last, I believe it's 1 tin, and not very high in jewelry crafting either. So yeah, this is all going to start, it looks like, after maintenance tomorrow. They're going to have maintenance around 5 a.m. Eastern time, and hopefully be back up by 6 a.m. Eastern time, and we will be live with the event. But really, the important part of this is Spire's jump in that they did today in the PvP area. Phoenix was kind enough to pin this for us, but Spire jumped in and said, they apologized about the radio silence. One, it was a weekend. Two, as you can see in game with the teleporting mobs, they are working through quite a few issues. But it looks like they have a patch that's going to change things for the better, headed off to their QA department soon. This patch is not only going to address the teleporting mobs, but it's also going to address the imbalance in PvP that we're seeing. The suggested change is they're going to bump up the concurrent spawns of the small trees and have them happen all across Lyonesse areas at the same time. So the goal here is it's going to spread the player base out quite a bit, which will give smaller clans an opportunity to get in on some of the tree chopping action, as well as spread people out so we hopefully don't run into the instancing problem that we did all weekend. I think the EU server saw this a lot more. It seems like they're fielding a ton more PvP people, but even in the US, we had groups in different instances of Lyonesse, and kind of led to some unfair advantages depending on what instance you spawned into. So realistically, this is probably the change that's going to at least, move us towards a more fair, more balanced, and more enjoyable PvP mechanic. Now, we do have, I think, 4 groups now on Selene that have claimed territory. Those people will maintain that territory, but there are 8 left, it looks like, and with 8 left, that's a lot of opportunities for groups to claim land. And then hopefully, they'll continue to push out continued fixes for things. There's still not really a lot of reason to live in Lyonesse, but realistically, as they build out more systems, that's what we need. We need people living in there full time. That way PvP is not a 4 to 6 hour window a night, and we can instead have it day round. They did say something about the time frame as well. Nothing really specific that I could tell, but does sound like we might be getting an extension of that window, which would be great. The time for me is a little bit late, so it is hard to get involved, and I'm sure it's similar for a lot of other players. But realistically, Spire dropped in today. I think this is now the 4th or 5th time that they've engaged directly in the PvP channel, and I think every single time the channel has walked away just feeling like they're heard. And I've got to tip my hat to Mainframe. We have talked long about how their customer engagement could improve, and Spire has done a phenomenal job at creating that engagement, taking feedback back, and getting us a quick turnaround. I mean, for them to be already talking about sending this patch over to QA when realistically the launch was only Friday, I mean, it may seem like it was an eternity because we had a miserable couple days of Lyonesse, but realistically, that's a fast turnaround time. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully you are all pumped to start mining some Yule wood and building some little Yule goats. The event should be fun. I really didn't expect many of these because they really do love the sandbox nature of the game and they want to hold that sacred. But I, as a player, love little celebrations like this. These are things that, if the game runs that long, 5-10 years down the road, you're going to find that guy who's still got an inventory sitting around of goats. I'm personally hoping to load up on them now so that when I do get a little bit more involved in PvP, I can go ahead and drop a goat there on every corpse that I create, just as a little thank you gift. But yeah, hopefully this is exciting to you as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear kind of what you still think Pax Dei needs. The next 2 things I'm hoping to work on is that getting back to the, lessons learned in Eve, where I'm going to kind of cover, how to recruit safely, how to reduce the impact of spies on your organization, how to embrace the fact that your organization is probably full of spies and not care about it. And then I'd really like to cover a couple of the things that I'd like to see come to the game. I know we all have our own version of Pax Dei that we play, and certain things are important to certain people. But realistically, my list, I think, is fairly market-centered and PvP-centered, because I want nothing more than to see lots of story develop, lots of clan versus clan, lots of grudges, and propaganda. Another quick tip of the hat, Wildwood Guardians. I've got to say, you guys are out there spinning up some propaganda and pushing it out. I saw it on Reddit. I love to see it. I know it's obvious. Nocturne is as well. They're putting a couple things out. We have a Celine Discord server where, some jabs happen. And it's great to see. This is the stuff that creates memories in the game. I know it may seem odd that conflict is such a driver for the fun in the game, but this is why a great many of us are here. We want to see these grand stories of clans hating each other and fighting each other endlessly develop. All right. Thank you all. Hopefully you have a wonderful holiday season, and look forward to talking to you in the next video.